This is the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast, session number 189, Hypnotic Outsourcing.
Welcome to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast with Jason Linett, your professional resource for hypnosis training and outstanding business success. Here's your host, Jason Linett.
It's Jason Linett here, and happy November 8th to you, especially if you are listening to this on the launch date of November 8th. And I will share that traditionally the whole way that we produce this Work Smart Hypnosis program is that very often I batch produce it. I do several interviews and recordings all in advance, and then they go into the whole cycle of editing, and then they launch on schedule. And traditionally, I wake up Thursday morning, and even when I'm at the gym Thursday morning, I'm listening to the podcast along with many of you for the first time. Though I can comfortably tell you right now, today, November 8th, I am not listening to this program. Now, this topic that I'm going to be sharing here is one of my favorites. It's one of those things that really changed my life. Though November 8th, 2018, as this launches, is actually my 10th wedding anniversary. Michelle and I, we had our first date back on November 8th, 2003. And then 5 years later to the exact date, got married November 8th, 2008. And just to set the stage for you, the two of us are waking up in the morning in Venice in Italy today. So we're already getting some nice messages from some folks as I mentioned this event was coming on up. And I wanted to actually share this audio that some of you may have seen this presentation. This is going to be the audio of a talk that I gave at HypnoThoughts Live 2018, which was specific to outsourcing. And thanks to outsourcing, even as I'm off in Italy, and even this past weekend at the time of the release of this, I was speaking at the UK Hypnosis Conference, and even while I'm away, my business is still running. And this is what in many ways, I share that the reason I'm releasing this on my anniversary is that this is one of those things that I figured out really early on in the shape of my business to allow me to step away. I'm actually sitting here at home right now. I'm recording this about a week or so in advance, actually on Halloween, and I've just spent the entire day at my son's school for all the different kindergarten Halloween celebrations, which again, even while I was there, my business was running. So it's all about helping you to overcome that mindset, that thing I've talked about here before of superhero syndrome, the mindset that you've got to do everything all yourself, which really, no, you don't. Because as much as it looks like that I'm doing these days, I am not doing most of it respectfully. I start with the initial sort of sketch of what it's about to become. And then from there, that's when it morphs into something that a designer then makes look a whole lot better than anything I would be capable of. So I'd encourage you at this point, you can either listen to the rest of this podcast recording, which is the audio of this presentation, Hypnotic Outsourcing, from HypnoThoughts Live 2018, or you can actually jump over to the WorkSmartHypnosis.com website, track down the show notes for this specific session, and that's where the entire video of this presentation is also posted. So some elements in the middle are slightly visual. Even though it is a slightly visual presentation, I've checked the audio. It all holds up just to listen to it. You get the full picture of it just by listening. But again, you've got options here. You can also check out the entire video of the presentation too. Speaking of outsourcing, speaking of scaling up your success, join us at the HPTI Hypnosis Winter Convention. This is an event happening for the first time in February 2019. You can get all the details over at hypnosistraininginstitute.org. And again, we're going to put the show notes details inside of the Work Smart Hypnosis website, where you can see all the details for this outstanding convention. It's an incredible lineup of presenters. I've actually got it here in front of me. We've got Sheila Granger, Kelly T. Woods, James Hazelrig, Scott Sandlin, Kwitai Neal, Christina Mathridge, David Snyder, Tracy Barrett Adams, Stephanie Conkle, Victoria Marie Gallagher, and the list just keeps going here. So it's an outstanding event that we're gearing together, and the setup of this is what's really interesting. Day one of the event. This is a 3-day convention. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, February 25th, 26th, 27th in Las Vegas, Nevada at the very familiar Orleans Hotel and Casino. Day 1 is all about scaling up your practice, foolproof methods to attract premium hypnosis clients. So day 1 of the convention is just me and Richard Nongard up there giving you the systems that we've developed to create high-value programs, increase the retention and the revenue while providing outstanding services to your clients. So day 1 of the event is our training, the two of us tag teaming the actual hypnosis business. And then the next 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, are 2 full days packed with approved continuing education that will change your client outcomes. 25 expert level speakers sharing the exact tools that they use to create therapeutic success. This is a convention. This is a conference with real world tested material from some of the top people in our profession. Again, get all the details by heading over to hypnosistraininginstitute.org. I'm going to put the exact link in the show notes at Work Smart Hypnosis. It's all about scaling up your success inside of your business and your sessions as well. So with that, let's jump directly into this recording from HypnoThoughts Live 2018. This is session number 189, Hypnotic Outsourcing. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Jason.
Have you had this experience? You've been sitting at a computer trying like crazy to figure out how to do something, and it's 4 hours later and it's still not complete. If you've had that experience, clap your hands. Cool. So it's the end of my office day. I'm seeing clients, and I've been there in session the entire day. As I wrap up my day, I do something very important that I hope all of you do as well. I go home. And I don't work. And yes, see me later. There's some personal baggage behind this, that when I leave my office, I shut down. I don't work. I've got a 5-year-old, I've got a 7-year-old, I've got a family around me. And when I'm in my office, I am in my office. When I'm teaching a class, I am in my class. When I'm here, I'm with all of you. When I'm at home, give me a call in the morning. 9:30 is when the office day begins. Or even better, nowadays, schedule a specific callback time online and guaranteed I call you back at that specific time, which, by the way, saves you on phone tag. Ooh, the benefit's all on you, isn't it? So I give you that as the frame because I wrap up my day at 5:30. And then in the morning, I suddenly wake up and my websites have been updated. My printing is already complete. Clap your hands if you listen to my podcast. Cool. WorkSmartHypnosis.com, new sessions every single Thursday. And the session this week was all about finding your why, kind of based off of Simon Sinek's book about defining what are your exact strategies. And again, the podcast goes out every single Thursday, and it usually launches right on schedule at 5 in the morning, and I get to listen to it with everybody else. I edited the first dozen or so sessions once I figured out what the heck the format was going to be, and then now it's done. My personal hero, some of you know this man, a man by the name of Ron Popeil. Yeah. He took the chicken, and they basted the chicken, they put the spit through the chicken, they put it in this like sort of shoebox-looking thing, they closed the door, they hit the button, and what was the next phrase, if you know? Set it and forget it. I don't sell the Copper Chef pans, but if you've heard me speak, they're amazing. Go out and buy them. So this whole idea of set it and forget it. It's where everything I do comes back to, as I brand it, hypnotic business systems. How do I approach every single aspect of what I do with the mindset of how do I do it once? How do I now position myself as the ringmaster, as the person coordinating all these various projects, and at the end of it, I get to step back and say, oh, that looks good. Before I really jump into the content here, I don't want to start with a negative, but I'm at a convention many, many years ago, and someone is presenting something in terms of how to build out your hypnosis business. And I do the logical thing, which we'll have time for this later today, which is I had a question, and I raised my hand at the appropriate time. I asked my question, and this person responded, well, I've never actually used this technique myself in my hypnosis business, but I hear it's a really good technique that I think you all would find value in. to which I immediately thought this person should not be teaching the technique. So my positioning is, I am the hypnosis business guinea pig. I will not teach you anything that I haven't personally done myself. And it's where I don't have PowerPoint slides for this, because on purpose, I'm going to be pulling up the exact stuff that I'm currently doing. You're going to see the real stuff that I currently have in motion, to not play the game of, hey, here's the story of how I lucked out 9 years ago and this one thing worked. This is a real what's working now presentation. My positioning these days is that we're in an industry where people like to boast, I'm going to help you to build a 6-figure hypnosis business. I've built 3 of them. I see live clients one-to-one. I do live presentations and programs. I do training online. Each of those is its own separate 6-figure hypnosis business. So have the filter of everything that I do that this works. And I want you to approach everything, not just in terms of your business, but even your actual techniques working with clients. From the mindset of not going, that doesn't work. That's not a good technique. Oh, that's a bad induction. No. You always look at it and go, how do I make that work even better? And tell me if this is a fair statement for some of you in this room. Maybe you've tried this outsourcing thing before, and suddenly the person sent back something that you were not happy with and you just abandoned the project. You dropped thousands of dollars on something and you didn't receive back what you wanted. I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding here. How many of you have thought to yourselves, I can't afford to do that? And not to use the easy pivot point, but no, you can't afford not to. Because again, look at the structure of what I mentioned. I'm in my office seeing clients. My session fees, I'm most often seeing people on programs. My income per session is on average about $350 these days. When I'm doing private coaching, it's slightly higher than that. When I'm doing speaking, it's even higher than that. But even more importantly, when I'm at home with Michelle, my wife, Claire, Max, my kids, that time is just as valuable, if not even more. So again, to look at your time, it's the line out of the amazing Tim Ferriss book, 4-Hour Workweek. I'll paraphrase this quote, that if your time is worth $75 an hour, and if there's a section of what you do that someone else is willing to do, let's say for $20 an hour, and you're still doing it, it's a bad use of resources. The real phrasing behind this is that part of my backstory from like 2001 to like 2007, 2008, I was in a different career. Now, there was some overlap at one point. I was working as a full-time, part-time hypnotist during the later years of a career working in management and professional theater. I was a stage manager. I wasn't acting, I wasn't directing, I wasn't designing. It was to make all those creative people get along. If that's not psychological training, I don't know what is. Very sensitive personalities. But again, to look at this perspective of you can't do it all yourself, and I'm going to show you how you can do it all yourself by, again, as my language is, being the ringmaster who's calling the cues. That person, I was up in the booth calling the cues of the show. It wasn't my job to be the actor on stage. I learned that I was not good at that in college. It wasn't my skill to hang the lights and focus them. I just got tired of doing that. It was my job to be that coordinator. Now, I give you that as a preview because there's something I'm going to show you in a few moments that I started as a sound designer. So I had all the crazy, sexy sound design software, and I was pretty good at it. But even nowadays, even though that's my skill, I don't do it. So the 2 frames I'd give you as we go into this is that just because you can doesn't mean you should. And to have that little filter in the back of your mind, am I being the most appropriately productive as I can be? Because again, here's this time that I could spend there trying to figure out silly things sometimes. Here's a series of photos that I had a photographer do locally, and I don't have the Photoshop skills to edit out the background, to put it on something else. But someone else could do that in a matter of moments. And the real key of this presentation today is when you have the right language patterns, when you know how to communicate exactly what you want. I say this with full respect to some of the incredible designers who have helped me build the business, the digital media empire that I'm running today, which, by the way, that's why everything is purple. By having that framework behind it, I've just found my audience. By having that framework behind it, I can now step away and the business keeps running itself. So with that in mind, let me now introduce myself. My name is Jason Lynette, for those of you that don't yet know me. I'm from the Alexandria, Virginia area. My local business is Virginia Hypnosis, and I can see that some people are already furiously writing down some notes. I'm going to make some resources available to you as part of this presentation. And actually, let me do a really cool thing here as I hit a bit of technology, because my camera in the back is not filming the screen, because otherwise it looks horrible. But what I'm going to do is actually start recording my computer screen here, because now someone else is going to sync up the sound from that video that's recording on my computer to what I'm actually presenting here, and we're going to put everything together. And I'll make this video available to you, because not just for the audio and your notes, but also seeing the stuff in real time as to what's working now, which is now where I play the game of how do I not show embarrassing things on my computer. So my business locally is Virginia Hypnosis, built from the mindset that people in Virginia were looking for hypnosis. Ooh, there's a little bonus point. If you can define who your ideal client is, immediately you know how to speak to those people. And I've chosen a very specific niche market, which is rather general but specific. People who have already decided they want to do hypnosis are my target clients. I don't want to live in a world where I have to play the game of, I'm not going to make you bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken. I want the person already beyond that. And again, I've given you some of the statistics and numbers. I'm doing exceptionally well targeting that community. So the mindset of the business becomes, how do I position that I'm the guy who clearly does that? Which, having the evidence to back it up, there's the award Hypnotist of the Year. Hey Karen, Mid-America Conference is awesome. What are the dates this year?
19, 20, 21st.
In the Chicago area, check it out. mid-americahypnosis.com. Also having on the site various places to build rapport with me. There's the TED Talk I did back in April. Scrolling through the site, opportunities to create interactions. What I give you as the framework behind everything you see there with Virginia Hypnosis is that I did not design any of that. Let me give you right now what I have found to be the most profitable platform for designing a website. And what you're going to see me do up here on this board in real time is really what I do. There are two phrases I want you to leave this course as empowered language patterns. Option number one, make this pretty. Option number two, make me one like this. You'll see exactly what I mean. This is now your website. And up in the corner, here is your logo. We'll just write logo. Up in the top right corner, CTA, call to action. If you want to see that in real time, we can look at the top of the page, and there's that format. So again, notice what I'm doing. I'm showing you the before, and you're seeing the after over there. So over the years, this is what I've workshopped through different iterations of testing and building the business. It's over years defining that market in different places. Virginia Hypnosis is my community of working with clients. Work Smart Hypnosis is my community speaking and chatting with all of you. You don't have to reinvent the wheel to get good results with your clients, to build a successful business. Preaching to the choir, you're all here at this outstanding convention. But look at the top framework of that website, this little thing we call the navigation frame, where up here, here's this area where they can navigate the website. And what I'm going to do here is have these various options of 1, 2, 3, other, and contact, and then something else perhaps. The phrase I want to share with you is that if you can respectfully smack your clients with the information they're looking for immediately as they land on your website, you've now positioned yourself the way you want to be positioned. Could you tell right now that I'm specifically targeting working with a lot of smokers? Why? Because that's something that fits into my schedule, the way I work with my clients, and that's why very prominently, in a very little bit more adsy way than I prefer it to be, but that is working beautifully. So what I'm getting at here is if you can define who your target markets are, 1, 2, 3, what are mine? Hypnosis training, stop smoking, lose weight, and then there's another. This gives me a benefit to do something kind of interesting because this image very clearly is an old-timey wagon wheel. Artistic skills. Thank you. You're welcome. And this very clearly is dog whistle? Yeah? Maybe? Okay. So when you go to the dog park and blow the dog whistle, you don't want every dog to come running. You want your dog to come running. That combines back to this image of the wagon wheel. If you can define your hub and all the spokes that are coming out. So the hub of Virginia Hypnosis is that website. And it's from there they can go to these various spokes, and they can go directly to the stop smoking page, the weight loss page, or other, and there's the drop down. This allows me to be the niche hypnotist as well as the generalist. This allows me to dance on the fence between these two schools of thought. And for those of you that haven't been around me before, is it pronounced niche or niche? Which one? Niche. Why niche?
Rhymes with rich.
Booyah. Rhymes with rich. Oh, yeah. So again, what I'm getting at here, the reason I illustrate this is take this as a little bit of bonus content around how you design the website. And the whole thing as you scroll through the page is proof, 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 credibility, credibility, credibility. I'll show you an example of this on my Stop Smoking page. When this loads, here's a high-impact video that starts off right away. It's showing longevity testimonials, the people that stopped smoking with me multiple years ago. But as you scroll through, there's testimonials, there's research, there's Sherry talking about it, there's a video of me, there's articles, there's all sorts of stuff, there's research, proof, 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 proof. How do I get my stuff designed? This gives you the baseline. Here is the next step. What I often do, my best work, my most profitable projects I've ever done, whether it's for classes, whether it's for products, whether it's for getting clients, those banner ads like you saw, this is how it begins. This is the initial entry point. Your job is to be an incredible hypnotist. There's an amazing book, The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. He talks about the different roles of the business owner, the entrepreneur. There's the technician. You know, you have the skill of hypnosis. That is your craft. There is the entrepreneur. There's the manager. It's the artistic vision of how we put it all together and the skills of actually putting it all in order. So the myth is, Michael Gerber, E-Myth Revisited. Was that your question? Yes. Which I'll do this too. I'm going to share a couple of resources in the video. If you're already on my list, I'm going to pass this around. Do this again anyway, because this is tagged specifically for this weekend. If you plug your email address in here, I'm going to share with you this presentation where one of my video guys is going to crop this all together. Plus, later this month, I'm sending an email sequence called How I Made $4,160 from One Email. So a high-impact method of selling sessions that got an immediate proven response. If we've got a lot of people here. If you don't have time to get to this here, see me at my purple table in the hallway, and we'll get that moving around. So you get the resource list, you'll get the video of this as well. So what I do is I take out our high-tech cameras that we all have in our pockets nowadays, and I open it up, and I'll actually do this in real time, even though this is a website that I've already got built. But this is the origin story of the Virginia Hypnosis website. I opened up my phone to the photo part, and I switched it over to video. And forgive my back end, but I then went to the piece of paper and went, okay, so here's the website that I want to build, and I sent you this logo up here, and I'd like you to take this logo and put it up in that top corner. Here's the text for my call to action that I want to have here. Here's my navigation bar, and then here's the content to fill in the bottom. Please send me 2 or 3 drafts before we actually start to build this website, and then we'll move on from there. I take that video, and I then send that up to places where I can find people whose skill it is to do the technical work that we don't know how to do. You're an outstanding hypnotist. I've met many of you. I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces in the audience. You're outstanding hypnotist. With some rare exceptions, you're shitty website designers. Embrace your skill, embrace your passion, hand the rest off to somewhere else. Here's a couple of resources that I recommend. And actually, as I open these things up, you're going to see some of my real stuff here, because here on this page, if I open up Upwork.com, I'll write it up here so you've got it. Upwork.com is an international community of outsourcers. Upwork works in the format that you post your job and people then bid on it. So think like eBay. But the difference is eBay automatically picks a winner for you. The highest bidder gets the job. With Upwork, once you've posted the job, you see all the people who have bid. Now, here's a little thing I always have to fold in. Depending on your personal preferences, do you hire domestic or do you hire international? What I'd tell you is that with WorkSmart Hypnosis, I work with an international audience. Therefore, I work with an international staff. And my target area to hire these days is actually in the Philippines. for one magical reason. It's not that the cost of living there is much lower and therefore more affordable. It's the fact that the Philippines is 12 hours ahead of where I am. Remember how I started this presentation? My day ends, and my full-time graphic designer editor, her day is beginning. And in the morning, when I wake up, I'm the crazy early morning person at the gym, and my whole strength training mentality is heavy load, long rest, heavy load, long rest. And I'm there in my phone in the app looking and seeing, oh, they're sending over drafts now because their day is wrapping up. That's my kind of rock star moment of going, yes, buy, sell, in that experience. Let me actually show you inside as I log into my real account, because again, let's show you what's working now rather than theory and pipe dreams. Upwork.com, by the way, take note, there are some other services that I'm not referencing, because I'm going to show you the ones that I'm personally using. So I'm not going to say that I think Fiverr sucks. I'm not going to say that. But Upwork, you get what you pay for. And with Upwork, you find there's a better quality of people. Also with Fiverr, you're finding the job and then hiring the person for the job. Our skills are very specific. So inside of my Upwork, I can actually see here's a guy, which the disclaimer here is don't play the game, and I say this because I'm hiding my people. It's that if you think that I need to hire who Jason has, you're missing the point here. When you can phrase the language in the right way, any good designer, any good editor, any good whatever skill, they can do the job for you. It's not about having my magical people, it's about communicating the thing that you want. If I actually go into my jobs, and here and look, my jobs, and actually go into my real account here and find, they keep changing this. Well, here's a guy who I keep using for some ongoing tasks. If I look at recently filled, little silly jobs. If you listen to the podcast, the introduction, the guy who does the intro for me, I hired him on Upwork. Any job that somebody can do on Upwork and on a computer, you can hire someone else to do it. How did I get that introduction? I found some royalty-free music, and my catchphrase sometimes is being willing to make an ass of yourself to get what you want. You saw the video like I just made. I played the music background on my phone, and I voiced over the intro myself. I did several takes of it, and I said, I don't want it to be my voice. I liked your voice and your introduction. Could you record one like this? That's how I got it. If you saw the post-convention offering, I'm doing hypnotic products. It's all hypnotic product creation. There's a video sequence with like a hammer laying it down. How did I get that? I shot a little screenshot webinar video of me going, okay, so here's the logo, and here's the music, and bang, 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 bricks, products, hypnotic, and then I want to pulsate. Go look at the hypnoticproducts.com video. That's how I got that. So little silly things over the years. Cleaning up an audio job. I had many other instructors wanting to sell my program, so getting someone to set up an affiliate system. Which again, my job now is to say, it's done. I could voice this is what I needed. I did a TED Talk back in April, and I really want you to take a lesson from this. I had to shave for time 30 seconds off that presentation. And there's a concept in the comedy world called punch-up, where they take scripts for movies and they go in and they clean up the dialogue. They make a scene a little bit more funny. They make a character more memorable. And I was just working on this one transition that I couldn't get right. So I hired an editor to go in and look at my presentation and say, if you combine these two paragraphs, that'll get it together. I had another writer look at my content, shaved off the 30 seconds that I needed, and that's what made that happen. All sorts of jobs over the years, whether it's different tasks such as work diary, let's see, freelancers, all contracts, there it is, they keep changing the platform on me. Things such as audio jobs, cleaning up things, editing and producing audio programs, programming in the flyers like I have at my table. There's a story behind this imagery that I use for my hypnosis training online, Hypnotic Workers, where I'm furiously sketching something at one time and going, that's it. Again, when you see this is the starting point. Some of you have seen promo. I have to show you a real thing here that's kind of funny. Some of you have seen promo for the HPTI Winter Convention that Richard Nongard's doing, that if I go to our actual shared folder here, here's an example, that I drew this. And somehow, yes, it's the other nickname for Richard, but I really made Richard Nongard look like a dick in that image. Sorry, buddy. But then someone else took that and turned that into that. So my job was to describe the user experience. Work Smart Hypnosis is a fully built membership platform which behind the scenes is an if-then style marketing machine. If you're a member of my business training, Hypnotic Business Systems, you don't see ads for it. I have no idea how the hell that works, but Chris does. So she makes that happen. So again, that ability to communicate exactly what you want and put it all in order, which again, I mentioned the mindset of communication, which we have to backtrack here. Before I do that, let's talk about Upwork. The way to round that off, you post the job, people bid. Because of the international cycle, once you post a job online, what do you do for the next 48 hours? Nothing. Don't look at the website. Let the international cycle process twice, otherwise you'll be driving yourself crazy checking in as every single new thing comes in. The same way that I did that video sequence. What I often do with those videos is I post that to YouTube as an unlisted video, where English is most often a second language of some of the people you may end up hiring if you're hiring internationally. Rather than tell, I show. So the same way that my computer's over there recording the screen of everything I'm talking about, I do that screenshot mechanism to record the screen of my computer and talk through the specific job that I want. This little nuance, I've had so many people in my communities go from going, I hate outsourcing, it doesn't work, to getting exactly what they want on the first draft. Because again, show rather than tell. Someone's going, they don't have any. I had this at one point. I was recommending someone who was doing websites for hypnotists, and they were going, he didn't put any videos on my website. Did you shoot them? No. They're not psychic. Everyone you hire for any specific job has to be trained. And we even have to train the process. With Upwork as well, once the job is hired, you look at their reviews, you look at their portfolio, you hire the job. The job is funded by way of an escrow-style payment. When the job is successfully completed, you click a button and the funds are released. They get paid. And if it's not going well, you have an option to politely leave the job behind. The problem is, though, this kind of goes to our business. As I look at various hypnosis websites, the model of how I've built everything that I do is what we call lead generation marketing, which is all very hypnotic in nature. Think of a Dave Ellman induction. You don't immediately go, let the numbers fade away, because you haven't yet set it up. You have to get that foot in the door, that opening wedge, relax the eyelids so they just won't work. What I do is lead generation marketing, where I'm getting people to metaphorically or literally raise their hand and say, I am interested in what you have to offer, let me see some more. So I'm always selling the next step of what I do. I'm always selling the next step of the process. So if you look at the Virginia Hypnosis website, I'm selling, click here to schedule your 15-minute phone consult. And from that mechanism, that's where I'm then on that program, and in a matter of 10 or so minutes selling that high-dollar program, they're in my office now as the client. So if the job's not going well, but how do we backtrack this? We'll talk it through, and we'll put fancy images on the screen for the video for you. Step one. This goes back to, it's 2003. It's 2003. And by the way, make sure that iPad is still going around so those people get the video of this, which if you don't get it, see me at the table. And you don't have to write this down because you're already getting it from the iPad. If you're listening to the audios after the fact, go to worksmarthypnosis.com/HT Live 2018, and that'll give you the opt-in. Again, don't write that down because you're getting it from doing the opt-in, but whichever way you want to do it is fine, because I'll make this video available for them as well. This is not to play the game of, hey, this stuff works, but hey, this stuff works. When you're speaking to a group, my principle is get the opt-in before the opt-in. Rewind back. Would it be helpful if I shared the resources? Yes. Would it be helpful if I shared the video of this? Yes. And only after that was the mechanism going around to actually make that happen. So again, look at a hypnosis website in most industries. Click this button to book your appointment now. I'll tell you they're not yet qualified to make that decision. Take that same dialogue, and it's back to 2003, and here's this girl at my college, and if I walked up to her and had said, you and I are going to have children, might not have worked. Given the fact, though, that we're now almost married 10 years and we have 2 children, and I now know her sense of humor, it might have actually worked. And to be fair, I first asked her out. Actually, to backtrack, I was chicken about it, and I first asked her, hey, would it be okay if sometime I asked you out? Remember, get the opt-in before the opt-in? Turns out I was doing it back then too. So what am I getting at? Relationship building. Relationship building. So step one, I'm not going to hire a stranger to build an entire website. Why? Because I don't yet really know the skills of this individual. With all that I do, I'm going to start with a micro task. A micro task. I'm going to begin with, hey, redesign my logo or build me this logo. What am I doing here? I'm going through this natural process of like a relationship. We're going to downtown Williamsburg, Virginia. We're going to the Chinese restaurant for dinner. Here's the moment I worked up the courage. I held her hand. It worked! And we're married. So here's this whole sequence of things. There's a logical relationship building to all of this. The same goes with the person that you work with. So I begin with that micro task, similar to, hey, let's have coffee at the coffee shop on campus sometime. There's the entry point into this. Once they've proven their value with the micro task, which takes some advanced knowledge, I'm going to hire a person more qualified for the job that I need to do the job. Why? Because I know this person is a website designer. So I'm going to give them a very simple task, kind of below their skills, to just make me a logo. But what am I doing? I'm planting the seed that eventually this might be a person I can work with. I've got that micro task. That doesn't go well. Thank you so much. This isn't a fit. Now, here's my favorite catchphrase around outsourcing, and this just goes back to being a good person. Don't be a dick. And what I'm getting at here is I still pay people for their time. Now, be mindful that there are some communities around the world. If I was working with someone in Pakistan and I go, this job isn't going well, I don't think we're a fit, I'm still going to pay you for the time that what you've done. Thank you so much. I wish you the best. They never take that money from me. That's just a cultural thing that's kind of an insult in their community, so I give the option now. And since I give the option, they go, oh, thank you, that's actually very friendly of you. So just be mindful of, again, different communities. My folks in the Philippines, there's a little bit of a language blip I had to get over because they would often say in text, oh, I already did the job, which I would read as jerk, which no, that's just how the communication is over there. Oh, even better, I already did it. Fantastic. So I begin with that micro task. This is that opening wedge. This is that foot in the door. Then from there, I figure out what is the next logical step of design. So what would that possibly be? For someone designing a website, they don't make it fully functionable in the first phase of things. So like, for example, if we're here on my Virginia Hypnosis website, what this began as was just this drawing. They design it in Photoshop. They design it in some sort of graphically pleasing thing, and that's just the mock-up. So rather than jump into the full relationship and propose and move in together, instead, what do I do first? I've done the micro task. Now we pivot into the next stage of the relationship with give me a design. Show me what it's going to look like. And this is standard language, at least with a website. The same as, let's put this in another category. On the Virginia Hypnosis website, on my homepage, there is this thing that we call in business a tripwire. This little program called Take 10 to Relax. It's a 10-minute stress relief audio program. I sell it for $10. It's a great way to experience hypnosis before you come into my office. Listen for the embedded language inside of that little phrasing. People buy that program. I sell about $350 of that a month. Not a huge takeaway, but I'll take it. That's fantastic. And then from there, they're hearing a very soft plug for my services. What did I do with that task? Hey, I recorded this on my home microphone. Could you clean up the quality of the audio? Is something I could have done there. Now, here's this royalty-free music that I've purchased. Could you then embed it underneath it? I can even play the make me one like this strategy. Now, take note, I'm not saying plagiarize. I'm not. I'm saying model. Go to YouTube. There's all sorts of hypnotic programs that are on YouTube. And hey, here's someone's program. Do you hear how they introduced it? And then the program began, and then the music faded up to a low volume. And then towards the end, as they were counting out the emergence, the music faded out. Listen to this one and take my content and kind of model the design. Which is a side note, if you look at the Virginia Hypnosis website, that was modeled after a nail salon in San Diego. What's a service that sees multiple people a day for different services? So I like positioning myself as the generalist with specific niche markets. So the nail salon does nails, manicures, pedicures, massage, waxing, everything else. And I'm searching around. I was going, I'm not seeing what I want on a hypnotist website. Let me branch out. And from start to finish, you would never know that that was modeled after a nail salon website unless I told you that. Make me one like this. So back to the formula for the outsourcing. Microtask, give me the design. Then from there, now, let's make it functional. Now, as of right now, I'm kind of working as a bit of a strategy of pay-by-the-job tasks. With Upwork, you can hire somebody and say, here's a job, I'll pay $25 for it. By the way, the person who did the audio edit for that Take 10 to Relax, I paid him $10. Because someone who knows how to do that sound job can do it in a matter of seconds. That was worth his time. Actually, the guy who ended up doing that specific job, in his bidding on the job, he actually just did the job. He goes, hey, I have a portfolio. I'll come to you in a second. I have this portfolio, but again, this is a simple job. It's only a 10-minute audio. I just went ahead and did the job so you can see my quality. If you like what I did, please hire and pay me. Which I could have been a jerk and just went, haha, mine now. No, I paid the guy. He did an amazing job, and I've since used him for other things. You had a question there?
Yes. Can you give some more examples of what you hire in Upwork?
The examples of what I hire in Upwork, I'm going to wrap up with that, so I'll come to that very shortly. Let's give you the formula first before we get into the specifics. So I've done pay-by-the-job tasks so far. Later on, I'm going to be talking about pay-by-the-hour. And when I do that pivot over to that style of the relationship. So I go from the graphic design now to the working experience. But again, I'm not jumping into the marriage, I'm not jumping into let's have kids and everything else. First phase, in a newspaper they talk about the upper fold. Give me the upper fold of the website. Make the navigation bar functional is an example of this. So making all these drop downs working, making everything work in terms of that format. That was the next phase of things. What have I been doing? We've been testing our relationship. We've been testing our rapport. I'm seeing your responsiveness. I'm seeing your attention to detail. And now comes the time to really go for the close and say, you know what, you're doing a fantastic job. How about I hire you to build this entire website? Please give me a rate to build this entire website with this many pages, with this much content. Here's my information ready to go. The same way that I drew that image earlier, my best editing, my best writing happens not in Microsoft Word. Instead, in like the text editor. Whether you're Apple, whether you're Windows, it doesn't matter. These things are both there. The text editor, you know the thing where you can't change the font? You can't make it bigger and smaller. It's just the words on the screen. If I'm blocked off that I can't get creative beyond my words, that's where I do some of that best work. So it's again taking that, and I'm often just putting in brackets, image here, video here, and then writing my paragraph. And then I send that bare bones design off, and that's what builds my pages. That's what actually gets it in motion. My job is to be the creator and the curator of the content. Then it's someone else's job to take it from there. As a side note, I spent about maybe $450 total to get Virginia Hypnosis built. To build the massive membership platform, which is WorkSmart Hypnosis with thousands of members all around the world communicating inside of it, I spent about $650. So I've not spent the thousands of dollars on websites. And even better, the membership system that we built with WorkSmart Hypnosis, that whole if-then style thing, we had to Frankenstein all these different softwares together. We had to play the game of this software has to talk to this one, has to talk to that one, has to talk to that one. How did I hire who I find? On Upwork, I plugged in the specific software. And it told me, here's a list of people with those skills. And that's how I hired. So take note of the sequencing here. This is that real make or break thing of outsourcing. Microtask to at least to the design, to then make it functional, then we build into the actual job. So without going through these initial steps, this is where people, if you think about it, chances are I bet those of you that were nodding in frustration, you started here. Rewind it back, build that relationship, see this person is responsive, move on from there. The next phase from here now can begin to pivot in different directions depending on your needs. What I tend to recommend is that you then, you take that experience of now here's the project and it's done. Here's an amazing thing you do. You ask the person, first of all, I'd like to keep this as an ongoing relationship on retainer. What I mean by that with Upwork, here's a guy I've used for like 4 or 5 years. When I use him, I pay him, it's automatically billed through the Upwork platform. When I don't use him, I don't have to pay him at all. But just the open contract is there, we work on an hourly basis. Well, for the first 2 or 3 hours of this hourly contract, can we go into Skype together and you show me how to update my own website? Can you show me how I can post new blogs? Can you show me how I can add a new product if I have a new product? You pivot to an educational side of things, and I found they're always willing to do that. Now we're into this place where they're now in that ongoing relationship to go, hey, I want to change the color scheme. Hey, I want to fix this. But now here we are in a place where we know this person's value and they can keep this relationship going. Which the answer to your question is, do not take everything I've just talked about of going, well, that's a strategy for websites. This is how I've done videos. This is how I've done editing for books. This is how I've done editing for sound. This is how anything you can do on a computer, I've done this with. Any task that can be computerized, you can hand off to someone else. You're able to upload the jobs, they do the edits for you. Now the next level of all of this, and I say this as a bit of a disclaimer, to say don't go off and do what I'm about to describe to you. However, when you find this is your fit, this is the thing to do. Because sometimes it can be a massive time suck to be hiring and hiring and hiring and hiring. So I'm running a full media business with WorkSmart Hypnosis. The same person is doing all the graphics for Virginia Hypnosis, all the graphics for other trainings, all the graphics for jasonlinett.com, all the designs for things going into a book coming out later this year. So because of that, I had the need to have someone full-time staff. To which I'll tell you again, the wonders of international time differences and cost of living differences. Here's a person I'm paying less than $1,000 a month to do all my graphic design work. Which, how did we do that? We started back with that micro task. Here was the specific need. Here was the thing that had to be in motion. And when I saw, check, she's good at this. Check, she's good at that. Check, she's good at this. It then fully pivoted to go, could I just have you on staff full time? And again, this was the end of that cycle of relationship, which now we've been together for several years and she's doing phenomenal jobs for me. Which again, do not fall prey to the game that I need to hire who Jason has. Because I just gave you the exact formula to how to replicate this stuff yourself. Now yes, there are resources to do it yourself, but again, my end of the day is focused on I'm seeing clients. I'm either creating content to get in clients. I'm communicating to you, again, from the mindset that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, model the stuff that actually works. But this way I organize my day by modes, so when I'm at home, I'm at home. Which allows me to step away from the business, to be here with you, to go off on a vacation and leave the laptop home behind me and not work on that trip. It's the opportunity to duplicate yourself that is the most freeing thing I've ever done. There's statistics that are out there around some of the big Fortune 500 companies that the more willing they were to increase their staff, the more their business, their success began to grow. So again, take a look back at the tasks you've done for your business over the years. I mean, silly things. I taught a class a couple of weeks ago, and we had the handwritten list of all the people who had signed up for the course. We didn't have it in a digitized format. I could have sat there myself and taken 10 minutes to type out the phone numbers and the email addresses and everything. And what did I do instead? I took my phone, snapped a photo of it, sent it to Erica, and she spun around with that spreadsheet in a matter of moments. I did a TED Talk back in April. Would you like to hear how I got it? Strategery, as Will Ferrell would say. We did a little bit of research because, again, market research is a thing you can do. And I found, turns out there's a website where all the upcoming events are posted for upcoming TEDx events. They're all there. By the way, the website is massively out of date and not updated. That's a challenge, isn't it? But I hired somebody to do strategic research and find when are these events, where are they located, who is organizing them, and what are their themes. Through a little bit of market research, we realized there were basically some repeating themes of presentations of different events or undecided. I was able to look at that list that someone else collated for me and realize there's basically 5 options. These 4 and other. I crafted 5 emails. And this other person was now on my behalf sending those emails targeted to those specific people with a targeted message. Now, the only real luck that came out of it was the event that I got first. I had to turn some others down because of scheduling, but the event that I got, their theme was human connections. The timing was exactly right for me, and I wanted to speak about the value of breaking rapport at an event about human connections. And they went, go on. But how did I get that entry point? It all goes back to this outsourcing strategy. This was the same person that years ago, I used to do a lot of work with high schools. She did this deep dive into research to figure out high schools do these after proms or after grads. She did the web research for me out of like 1,200 schools in my immediate area to figure out which schools do this event, this schools do that event. The message I want to share with you here is that if you try to sell to everybody, you end up selling to nobody. So again, market research is something you can outsource. So to look at all of this, again, any task that's becoming repetitive, I'm always looking inside of my business to go, how do I do this once? And the one thing that has taken me from that 1 6-figure business to multiple ones is this outsourcing strategy, which, yes, there's other websites that are out there. Fiverr is good, I found, if you don't know what you want. One time I had no clue what I wanted for a logo. The jobs on Fiverr are typically $5, so I hired 10 people to do $5 jobs. I got 10 logos. I liked this graphic, I liked that font, I liked this color scheme. The one who was the most responsive, I hired and paid a bonus to say, Frankenstein them all together. That's how I got it. If you're looking to hire more ongoing, I've had really good luck with another website, Outsourcely. I'll put those in as resources as well. We just have a couple of moments left. I know you've got questions. If you do see me at my table, I can probably take 1 or 2 quickly here. We're good. See me at the table. I know it's a bit of overload, which is why I make this all available to you. The real message is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to go off and take an 8-week course in Microsoft whatever or Adobe this or that to learn how to do it. Someone else took those photos. There's outsourcing for you. Perfect timing as my spreadsheet now cuts me off. So to look at it again from reinventing the wheel, this is why it's important that I find that we teach what's actually working now. So I do a program, briefly I'll mention, called Hypnotic Business Systems. You got these in your swag bag. My goal is to help you earn even more money as a hypnotist. That's why I'm the guy who just gave you cash in that bag. Which if you go down to a table or a slot machine and if you win with that, we'll split it. But Hypnotic Business Systems is where I chronicle everything that I've done to build the businesses as well as my What's Working Now library. What I typically do for that is it's more than 100 hours of content. It's an ongoing membership library as people are in there communicating, getting feedback on their own graphic design jobs. We're sometimes even sharing outsourcers as well to shorten that process. Looking at it in terms of email marketing campaigns. My email programs that go out. Again, take everything I've taught you towards outsourcing. Where here I was designing my email sequence going out to my stop smoking clients to build rapport, to build value, to build credibility, reciprocity with these people. And it's then my job to hire the outsourcer who programs that email sequence in, puts the opt-in form on my website. I get to hit the button and set it and forget it. Which is a side note, if you want that exact campaign, I just give you that inside of Hypnotic Business Systems. There's some amazing workshops here this weekend as well, other workshops on business. I highly encourage, learn from people who I brand them as hypnotic workers. The people who are actually doing the work while also sharing what's working now. You've been amazing. Thank you so much for jumping into this high-tech workshop in a very low-tech format. I'm Jason Linett. See you all soon. Jason Linett here once again, and as always, happy anniversary to me and Michelle. And on top of that, too, join us at the upcoming HPTI Winter Hypnosis Convention. It's happening Monday through Wednesday, February 25th, 26th, 27th, in gorgeous and warm Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm going to put the links in the show notes over at WorkSmart Hypnosis. But once again, simply head over to hypnosistraininginstitute.org. Day one is just me and Dr. Richard Nongard tag teaming methods to scale up your hypnosis business. And the next 2 days is just a whole want to come up with a word of a plethora, a multitude of hypnotists, a depth of hypnotists gathering together, giving you the methods that they've been workshopping for you to bring into your sessions with your clients and become even more effective. Join us at this Hypno Conference in the wintertime in February in sunny Las Vegas. Look forward to seeing you there. Oh, and one more thing. As soon as you register for the event, forward your email confirmation for the Hypno Conference over to me. My email address is jason@virginiahypnosis.com. As soon as you register, forward me your confirmation email, because for absolutely free, I'm going to give you my mini course on Empower Your Facebook Marketing. These are the techniques that I've personally used to scale up my own business. I'm sharing with this to you in advance of the conference so you can see some of the more bigger picture thinking of things. So again, forward your confirmation email for the convention to jason@virginiahypnosis.com, and I'll make that whole mini course available to you absolutely free. See you on the inside.
Thanks for listening to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast at worksmarthypnosis.com.
Hey, it's Jason here, and reading is lame and videos are awesome. So do this right now. Go ahead and click subscribe right here inside of this video, and that will link you to my YouTube channel, and you will be the first to find out as new information is shared here online. Click subscribe now. Stay in touch. I look forward to hearing of your success very soon.